1,000 nations of the Persian Empire descend upon you. Our arrows will blot out the sun. Then we will fight in the shade. This is where we fight! This is where they die!
All right, friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. We're continuing on with our series here where we sort of side branch from my main campaign. I've got this small army of very elite troops. It's 263 guys and, of course, a bunch of elite family members. And we are challenging the enemy. These games are not affecting the campaign. For those who are curious, this is just basically a side branch where I'm farting around, sort of testing the upper bounds of what elite troops can do as far as the total number of troops that they can fight and fight successfully. Just a little quick glance at some of my companions here, some of my family members. Even though they're young, because of the game dynamics, if you're very high level, like a lot of our family members are, and you have a child, for whatever reason, when they mature, they're quite high level already. I have some of my daughters, some of my cousins and whatnot, they're like level 30 as soon as they hit, I guess you would say, you're coming of age too, right? So there's a strange process to that. I'm not quite certain why they chose to make it like that, but that's how it is, right? So we have very elite troops. Emperor Utos here is going to be our victim today. We hope one of these battles we're going to fail. I'm going to keep trying basically harder and harder challenges in this series until we finally meet our match. So 1700 here against 263. We're playing on normal player damage, of course. There's no cheats or hacks or anything like that. We're just going to use tactics and a big fucking axe to beat the shit out of the enemy and force them to submit. So I can see the enemy way across there and on the third island over. Generally, though, in the AI, when it has this kind of an advantage in numerical power and probably just overall power, like if you just auto-resolve this battle, you would lose every time. If you just F1, F3 this battle, you're definitely going to lose every time. So it's very likely to charge us, and unfortunately, it tends to charge us quite recklessly. That plays right into our strategy here, as we're going to bottle them up on the bridge here, shoot them full of arrows, fire cross bolts between the eyes, and enjoy a banquet tonight to celebrate our victory. Looks like a beautiful sunrise here, or sunset. It's an absolutely beautiful setting, and I don't know about you, but I always like killing more when it's this kind of light. Like when it's a cloudy day and I'm kicking the heads around of the enemy that we just rolled, I get a little bit depressed. I don't know about you guys, but I always enjoy massacring the enemy more when it's a beautiful scene like this. Might even have a picnic here after we destroy this opponent. So stretching out archers on both flanks of the bridge here. Of course, we want flanking fire. Shield walls work very well from the front and not so good from the side. The enemy, of course, has lots of shields, and they will approach with lots of shields, so we're not going to attack their center very much. We're going to have infantry and cavalry. We'll try to close up the center and then pound them on the flanks. We'll have some ammunition attack in the center. I've got the 6th and 8th Corps here. Those guys have bolts. Those guys have, a lot of them have high bow skill. In fact, very high bow skill. But our primary objective here is to effectively lure the enemy into charging. Lure this artificial imbecility, as I'm going to start calling it. Look at these guys. They're just coming over 3 at a time. I don't even know what you could call this, skirmishers, or you could call this imbecility. Darwinism here. So we're not even going to open fire on these 3, 4, 5, 6 troops. It's just not worth our arrows. These skirmishing horse archers here coming over, they don't even look like they're taking a shot. These troops almost look like they all gambled away 30,000 dinars last night, lost all their money. The gambling sharks are coming and going to make their life miserable, and so they're suicidal. Our ultimate strategy, of course, here is to get the enemy to right to the very edge of the bridge. We don't want them pouring over the bridge, of course, because then they'll be amidst our archers, and the battle will start to go badly very quickly. But what we want is the enemy to commit, get lots of guys onto the bridge, sort of in the oven, ready for roasting, and then annihilate them. Having difficult time. I've got a new mouse that I'm having a hard time, as you can see, calibrating. Can't throw a bolt at this guy from a foot away. Of course, I don't know who was more stupid, him for standing there watching me consecutively throw javelins, or me for trying to do that over and over again. Both of us look like idiots. Especially when I've got this pole arm here. Dead horses, I've mentioned this before, just leave them. Dead horses on the bridge in this situation are good. In an optimal world, this bridge would be even more narrow. Like the battle at Stirling Bridge, of course, with the Scots. That bridge was something like 8 feet wide. They could only get 2, maybe 3 horses side by side across at the same time. If that were the case in Bannerlord, obviously, you might be able to take on an army of 3,000 or 4,000, because you would literally be able to attack 2 or 3 guys coming over the bridge at a time. It would take you forever, but you would just be able to pound those guys with your 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 troops at the edge of the bridge. So the cavalry are starting to stack up here. We're starting to fire some ammunition. I'm going to start bringing these guys closer. The 6th and 1st are my heavy infantry divisions in this case. The 6th are skirmishers as well, but they're not your traditional skirmishers. Traditional skirmishers throughout the hoplite era, throughout the sort of the Greek, Roman, very early battles, they were lightly armored. They were quick units. They were not designed to be able to brute it out with the enemy. Well, in this case, and they come roaring up. These guys are all just bellowing as they charge up. So the enemy's stacked up here, so I sent the 6th and the 8th in just to pound these units that are stacked up, right? The enemy forces here are stacked up, but I don't want them to get too far, because if they get too far over there, suddenly we'll be highly vulnerable to the enemy ammunition. All right, they have archers. We're trying to prevent our troops from dying from ranged troops from their side, right? So your traditional skirmishers, from the medieval or pre-medieval area, they were light, they were fast, they would come and throw javelins, and before the hoplites or any other armored units could chase them down, they would just sprint off, right? These Olympic athletes, they would just run a 13-second, 100-meter, back up a little bit, and then throw another javelin right into the face of the hoplites. This is something in Bannerlord that I think a lot of people misunderstand. Look at how bad this is actually jammed up, right? The horses actually are so jammed up over there that the enemy can't even get through. They literally can't get like more than a couple guys across, right? So we'll take this guy's shield. I love a big sturgeon shield like this. Hopefully they don't come over one at a time. Otherwise, frankly, I'm going to have to delete this video and start this process over. Usually when I'm doing battles like this, the only time I ever really redo them is if I get some kind of strange one shot, like a couch lance, which just kills me in the first 20 seconds, or there's a graphic glitch bug or some kind of bug or problem like that, or if the battle is so slow that I don't think it's going to even be mildly entertaining to watch. We're approaching that level here with the giant horse traffic jam of 1082 down there. This is like an epical event at this stage. The enemy just can't even get across. They're firing arrows, but a lot of my troops have their shields up, right? Skirmishers almost all have shields. A lot of our archers have shields too. So when I tell my archers to hold fire, a lot of my archers just whip out their shield, and they're almost like a secondary infantry. In fact, they're kind of elite infantries as well as elite archers, right? A lot of them have like 300 one-handed skill, 300 athleticism, and 300 bow skill, right? So they're triple threats. They're good on defense. They crush people on offense. They can chase people down. They're very fast. They're very hard to kill, and then they can also kill people with a high rate of efficiency at range. So the enemy continues to sort of struggle their way across the bridge here. Now I'm seeing infantry starting to charge. And now I don't know if this was the AI. The AI seems to have changed a little bit in the last 3 months. I don't know if these are small adjustments that Tail Worlds is probably constantly making with all these little patches. But here, finally, the huge block of infantry come, right? And this is going to be a challenge. This is legionnaires. These are Manabliaton high-end troops, and there's lots and lots of them, right? We're outnumbered, I don't know, 6, 7 to 1, something like that. So they have a huge amount of troops compared to us. So we've charged with the 1st, 6th, 8th, and the 2nd Cavalry, and they are still pouring around the edges here. I don't have enough troops simply to dam this sluice. There's just too many troops. So the archers get told to kill too. This is the 4th archer, I think, on this side of the bridge. These archers aren't bad at melee, right? I just need them to get in here and sort of slow down this enemy avalanche. This is just an avalanche of legionnaires and high-level troops. We just need to sort of push this back. And interesting, it looks like they're reforming. which is bad strategy because they had maybe a little bit of a breach there on that side of the bridge. They obviously had a little gap. They were pouring through. Sometimes you'll hear me say troops are like water. Once they start pouring through, they gain momentum and you just get swept away. Well, in this case, the water didn't obey the law of physics. It kind of poured around the edges there, and it decided magically it was going to go the other way. Worse than that, they're getting massacred on the retreat. So if this is new AI by Tail Worlds, right, like a new patch or something like that, this is really bad AI. Now, they are defending well on the retreat. The guys have their shields up and they're parrying and shit. This guy's parrying like a beast. We'll just kick you in the back down. What do you think of that? So the problem, though, is that they're not supporting their retreating troops until the very last second here. That cav charge should have come 40 seconds ago, 30 seconds ago. If you want your units to retreat, I mean, you can even just think of fictional battles. During the battle, I think it's called the Pelennor Field in the Lord of the Rings, when the garrison at Osgiliath is retreating, I think troops from the city from Minas Tirith sally out and basically attack the enemy that's chasing after the troops retreating from Osgiliath to support them. Right, you want to send your troops in basically so that the enemy doesn't just have a free attack on your troops that are falling back. You'll often see me use a cav screen if we're being heavily pursued. What I'll do is I'll take one of my cav divisions, set them up in a big long line right in front of where we're retreating from, put them in shield wall, and then basically stand there next to them, pummeling anybody that gets close. And it's very effective at letting your troops get out of there. So, speaking of very effective, so is my pole arm at just massacring these horsemen. It's amazing. It's like a one-shot for a lot of these lightly armored cavalry. Of course, my axe is even more efficient, but it's a lot shorter. The pole arm, I can just at safe distance, I can just dismount these guys, dishonor their asses, and put them on the mud with the rest of us, and then kill them once they're in the dirt. So the enemy has sort of regrouped. They have another big tranche of troops that are coming in. But of course, that's what our strategy is all about, right? We want these fucks to come in. Even though they have a lot of archers this time, I'm getting pounded with arrows. You notice how I'm kind of weaving? How they aim, of course, is very in a linear way. And of course, real humans would also shoot this way, right? They're going to shoot what they see. But if you weave and kind of bob and weave and move erratically as you're either coming in or backing up like that case, you're going to take a lot fewer arrows. So we lost some of our first and second corps there. I'm down to just a handful of cavalry. We're definitely weakened, but so far we've beat the shit out of the enemy so far in these exchanges. It's been very much to our favor. There's body parts laying all over the place. If you're curious what that's from, there's a mod. You can find the description in the details for this in other videos. So we're going to be patient here. A lot of our troops are either out of ammunition. I don't know if I told these guys to fire or not. At this stage, though, I don't really want to fire. The enemy's a long ways away. They have a lot of shield walls up. We're gonna hold fire. We're just gonna let them shoot at us for a few minutes here. And again, hopefully it doesn't bore the fuck out of people. Some of these videos, you know, I'm gonna have to take my time. I can't just rush through them. I may take action if it's exceedingly slow. But you know, when you're outnumbered 7-1, I can't just, for the sake of people's entertainment, just charge recklessly on this bridge and end up losing the battle. Collect a few javelins here just because they're laying on the ground. And we'll see what the enemy does. I got 6, 7, 8. I got 10 total cavalry. I still have about 70 infantry. Okay, here they come. So again, it's going to be the same idea. Once they get right to the edge of this bridge, once a decent portion of them do, then we charge, right? In we go. They actually have archers leading, so the AI is really confused here. I think they're trying to get these guys over and get them spread out. They don't have a chance in hell of that, right? Of course, we're going to bottle this group up quickly. They're already retreating. It's almost like they've seen this movie before. Of course, they did actually see it. If they were real people, they would have been like, I'm not crossing that bridge. You're overruled as a commander. You're stupid. Let's get somebody else in here who's not suicidal, and let's try a different tactic. It really does. They're almost acting like real humans would act in this situation. They would break early. They had already seen a huge massacre in one time like that, and they would flee. Now, it almost kind of feels like a feint retreat. The AI, I don't think, is smart enough to do that. A feint retreat is basically where you make it look like you're retreating to lure the enemy across. And in this case, I did chase, but that's partly because I've never really seen a good feint attack by the enemy. Now they're kind of waffling. If it was a true feint retreat, they would have pulled back there, and then as soon as we were on their side of the bridge, all-out attack, send everybody, and then as soon as they were all-out attacking, archers to both flanks, right? Then they would have had us basically in the same pinch that we were in, or rather that they were in, right? Basically doing the same strategy that we were pulling off on them. At this stage, they look like they're stacking up. At least they're trying to pull off a concentrated attack here. They're trying to stretch archers to the cores. Well, we're going to stretch too, and then I'm going to try to get units into those archers, right? Anytime you see archers standing up like that, one of the most critical things is to get firepower, get units into the face of those archers. Right? They have this large infantry force in the infantry force in the middle, but we're going to aggressively move troops out on this archer flank. Those guys are vulnerable for the 8, 10, 12 seconds where they charge out there, but it's necessary. I've got to get these troops in the face of those archers so they don't pound us with ammunition here. Some of them are holding shields. That'll help. We're taking some losses because of it. And we're just effectively going to try to sweep this archer flank now. In military terms, sometimes you'll hear it referred to as rolling the enemy's flank up, or turning the flank is another classic term for it, where you eat up a flank like this, and then you simply turn to the left where the flank continues, right? They're moving a little bit, but you just walk right down their flank, right? You just think of it like a big long line or a big Twizzler, and you're just taking a bite out of this end, and then as soon as you're done, you just keep on eating that licorice and just pour in until the line is consumed, right? Until you had enough sugar for a nice coma, you got some cavities, and the enemy is destroyed. Now, they are doing a decent job of sort of rolling with the flank, but I don't think this is a strategic move. I think this is the AI freaking out. I think this is a combination of the AI freaking out and also the troops wavering, right? They're just getting completely rolled up. We're still holding the center there with 1st Infantry, and now we're just, again, we're much faster than the enemy, so we can just sort of tear into their midst. Speed in combat is lethal. If their archers can't get distance to set up and shoot us, well, then they're just rag dummies, aren't they? They're just here for us to kill. Of course, we have Cav now cycle charging. I forgot, I have 8 Cav that are technically in the 2nd and 8th Division, but I also have my 8th Corps, which has something like 8 to 10 highly elite cavalry units. These guys, a lot of them have 300 riding skill, like 300 pole arm or 300 two-handed axe. These guys are smashing everything in sight. And of course, if they come to melee, what the fuck is the enemy? I think they're just flat out routing already. If they have to fight, of course, they're perfectly capable of fighting. When you get characters, even to level 35, there's a little bit of a snowball effect in this game where they just get stronger and stronger and stronger. And of course, by that point in your campaign, you'll be getting better and better and better at everything from fighting to field command to understanding how to load out your troops, right? You'll have your fastest units that are already lethal, and then you'll find yourself a nice 30% speed bonus banner where suddenly your units are running and making Usain Bolt look slow. Like, you should see some of my 8th Corps that has the right perks for all the perks maxed out for speed, right? Like faster. There's I don't know how many perks there are, but there's 3, 4, 5 perks that literally all increase your combat speed or your movement speed or whatever. And then you add that banner perk and 330 athleticism, and some of them have really light armor because they're sort of berserker style. And these guys just run around the battlefield. They look like a rocket ship when they run on some of my screens. I can't catch them because I wear heavy armor. You'll just see them, like if we're running side by side, they'll just ditch me. Anyways, I would encourage you to use speed in Bannerlord because you saw in this instance just rolling up their flank. We mauled this enemy on the bridge, of course. That was fairly predictable. But even in the open, they weren't able to use their huge numerical advantage because we had enough speed that we could close on their archers, roll up their flank, and then just devour their lines. These guys are sort of half-heartedly attacking, but they're falling back. Generally, a situation like that, what it means is that your enemy's still considering regrouping. Enemies that are in full rout won't swing. They won't swing their weapon at you. They won't hold their shield up. They won't turn around. They just flat out run. They've had enough. They're not interested in any kind of resistance anymore. Whereas these guys, a few of these guys, are still swinging their little sickles at us. So the enemy has the tiniest amount of desire still to fight. Sometimes that can be because there's like a couple of heavy cav left from the enemy side, and they're running around, you know, still effectively fighting. Like they have one unit that hasn't broken yet. So I'm just gonna, we can just reform here, see what the enemy does, but pretty soon it's just going to be time just to charge everybody, just so that this battle concludes. See, it's a beautiful day, right? We can have a picnic right here, right? We've got, I'm sure there's some wild animals we can find, right? A beautiful setting. I don't know about you, but I would definitely have a nice after-battle picnic right next to this river. Put my feet in there, right? Wash off all this scum Imperial blood from our boots. Yeah, they're all the way they go. And we've got the 8th Corps, you know, heavy cav just cycle charging through there, so they're still racking up deaths. Those guys are getting experience. Archers are shooting. Another highly successful battle here for our 8th Corps. At some point during the series, I will. Oh, you know what? They've turned to fight. So these guys, they have a little bit of fight left in them. So we're gonna have to put these guys down. The battle's not in jeopardy at this stage. These guys are just, you know, again, maybe they racked up a bunch of gambling debt or something like that, and they want to die. They don't want to go home. Maybe their wife is really ghastly, ugly, and has bad breath and stuff, and is like a total termagant. You know, there's all kinds of reasons they could be fighting still, but it's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. Anyways, I was saying I am going to do a little deeper dive into the 8th Corps, the profiles, how I design these characters. I've already done some videos on it, but I want to do one specifically for this battle. Not for this battle, but for this series here. You see these guys are just taking off from me. I can't even keep up with my own guys because they have faster speed than me. So again, let me know what you think of this series. Leave comments, subscribe if you're interested in more battles like this or learning tactics in Bannerlord. I'm willing to listen to critiques, all that kind of stuff, fellas. And I will talk to you friends next time.